Hey there, crewmates, Gabe from Nexus Core here with another One Piece card game video. I am sorry for the gap in content. There is no excuse, I just didn't have any inspiration for what I wanted to make. But recently we finally got the last reveals for the black starter deck that will be coming out soon, so I wanted to go over all of the cards with all of you. If you've been keeping up with my latest videos, you've probably seen a couple of them so far, so those cards I will only give a little bit of a look at, but a lot of these I have seen for the first time, so we'll be going over these together. So for those of you who haven't seen yet, the leader is going to be Sakazuki, who is a special attribute, basic leader stats for a mono color, so 5 life, 5,000 power, Navy attribute, whose effect is you may pay 3 and discard a card to trash one of to KO one of your opponent's characters that cost 0. So again, this is the potential to be a very strong ability. There are no characters that have cost 0 thus far, so depending on how many ways we have of reducing the cost of characters, this could potentially be very powerful. If there are a lot of ways of being able to do that, as the potential of even taking out something like 8 cost Kid or one of the bigger Kaidos. So this does have a lot of potential depending on what the cards we see are. So next, we have Kobe, who is a 1 cost, 2,000 strike attribute, counter 1,000. On play, you may trash a card from your hand to KO up to one of your opponent's characters with cost 0. So I think Kobe is fine. I don't think this is that amazing, if I'm being honest, because a lot of the time, Sakazuki can do the similar thing. What's nice about it, though, is that if you don't have 3 Dawn up, you spend a lot of your Dawn to make somebody cost 0. You can just put Kobe in and KO something for free, which I do think is quite solid, but so I do think Kobe will probably make its way through that, but I think like 2 or 3 sets down the line, something like this will probably be taken out, but it's a redundancy. If you're somehow able to get 2 things to cost 0, you have Sakazuki and Kobe, so this I think is quite solid and genuinely great art that they gave him. Next is Django. Just shout out to my boy, the Fail King himself. So he's a vanilla 1 cost 3,000 slash attribute, counter 1,000 Navy attribute, basics that we would see from a 1 cost vanilla like Karoo. Next is Smoker. Genuinely beautiful art that they used for this guy. Absolutely incredible. So Smoker is a 5 cost, 7,000 power special attribute Navy type, whose effects are he cannot be KO'd by card effects, already a very strong ability, and Dawn 1, as long as there is a character that costs 0 in play, this character gains double attack. I think this is very good. So for those of you who haven't seen a lot of my videos, I'm usually pretty critical of cards with double attack because a lot of them tend to have really low stats so that they'll easily be blocked. I think 7,000 is a pretty good stat to have on it. You can reduce the cost of something that isn't a blocker just to make it 0, try to get rid of other blockers you can. Also, the fact that he can't be KO'd by effects just makes him incredible. That means he's great for the mirror match because your opponent isn't going to target him. He can't be KO'd by any of the Kaidos, including the board wipe one, so in the purple matchup, your opponent will probably hesitate with that. He's just a very stable body that is very likely not to leave the board, and having a 7,000 base means he's already it'll take a bit of effort to actually take him out by battle and not by effect. So Smoker is a fantastic card, I think. Next, Son Goku. I made a video of him. So 5,000, 6,000 power, 5 cost, wisdom attribute, Navy type, counter 1,000. When attacking, give up to one of your opponent's characters cost minus 4,000. So just incredible. The fact that it's on attacking means that it is a little bit slow, but the fact that you can make anything of cost 4 or less, everything reduce a cost by 4 means so many things can be hit by Sakazuki. This is just such a massive cost reduction that if you have 2 Son Gokus up by any chance, double Son Goku means your opponent means Sakazuki can just KO a Sakazuki can KO a 8 cost Kid. I think this is a very good card and will definitely see play, and having the stats of Hawkins, but having counter on top makes us just genuinely phenomenal. Next is Toshigi, 3 cost, 4,000 power, slash attribute, counter 2,000, Navy attribute as well. Active during the main phase, you may rest this character to give up to one of your opponent's characters, cost minus 2,000. So kind of similar vein as Sengoku, except it's a little faster because you don't need to attack. You can use it the turn you play her. So if you have multiple of her, you can severely reduce the cost of something. Reducing by 2 is pretty good because you play her turn 2 when you have 3 Dawn. Turn 3 when you have 5 Dawn, you rest her. You can reduce a character with a cost of 2 or less to 0, and then use Sakazuki's effect to KO it for free. I think Toshigi is another very, very good card. And yeah, for 4 Dawn, Toshigi plus Kobe can KO something, which is very, very solid. Then we have Suru, who is a 2-cost, 2,000 power, wisdom attribute, navy type, counter 1,000, blocker, basic blocker that we've seen. She's a Black Maria clone. Next is Hina, who is a 3-cost, 5,000 power special attribute, navy typing. On play, give up to one of your opponent's characters, cost minus 4,000 during this turn. Phenomenal, incredible. Her plus Sengoku is already taking out Kid in a single turn. This is bonkers. Just, this deck is already kind of insane, if I'm being honest. Just the sheer control potential it has is actually mind-blowing. And next is GARP, who again I made a video of, so I won't spend too much time on him. 5 cost, 6,000 power, strike attribute, navy typing. During the main phase, you can trash 1 card from your hand to KO up to one of your opponent's characters of cost 4 or lower. So this is very, very good. So this is basically Who's Who in purple, but it's during the main phase, so it's reusable. So you can keep GARP up, and your opponent can't really... Oh, it has to rest itself. But basically, Sengoku plus GARP can take down Kid. The fact that this deck doesn't just have to kill things of 0 cost, it can potentially kill something of 4 cost with GARP, means this deck has such high potential. This deck immediately answers Kid, and like I think Kid is kind of gonna drop out of the meta a little because of just how badly the deck can answer it. GARP plus Hina takes out Kid. GARP plus Sengoku's takes out Kid. Sengoku plus Sengoku plus Sakazuki takes out Kid. There are so many ways that you can hit things of high power that are hard to deal with, that this deck I think genuinely has a lot of potential, and we just have the start deck right now. On to the events, we have Impact Wave, who I think has already been making waves if you've already heard of this card, who's a 2-cost event. Your leader gets up to, or a character gets 4,000 power, basic for 2-cost events. Then you KO up to one of your opponent's active characters with cost 3 or less. Trigger, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with cost 4 or less. This is literally just Punk Gibson, but better because it KOs them instead of rests them. This is bonkers. This event is insane, and any deck that multicolors in black is going to be running this at 4 because of how strong this is. Yes, the cost reductive cards only last during your turn, but the amount of cards people run that have cost 3 or less just makes this so good. Oh, I accidentally skipped over my man TBone. How could I have done that to him? He's a vanilla 3/5 Navy, counter 1,000. Really glad that of all of the Marines they could have chosen, they went with TBone. Not like a Vice Admiral like Momonga or whatever. Just, why TBone? You had Django as a vanilla, why not full body? But, whatever. Next event is going to be Great Eruption, a 1-cost event. During the main phase, draw 1, then give an opponent's character -2 to their cost, and then or trigger your opponent discards 1. Another great card. The fact that it's a 1 cost 1 draw is already decent enough, but the fact that you can reduce the cost by 2 makes this very, very good. This plus GARP means you can KO a 6 blocker like the blocker Law. It's a 5 blocker, but you can also KO Queen. This, for such a cheap cost, just gives you access to so many things you can KO. I think this is another just great card. Another event being Whiteout. 1 cost, counter your leader or up to one of your characters gains plus 2,000 power during the battle. So basic 2,000, just a basic counter, but also trigger, draw 1, and your characters cannot be KO'd. That's a great trigger, so it might see play for that. but it's just a basic counter. Lastly is a stage. I'm so glad we're finally getting a stage, and I want to say I called it. Anybody who watched my Sakazuki video can remember that I was theory crafting a Marineford stage, so go me, I guess. So this has an on-play effect, which is actually new for a stage, and it only costs 1, which means this is playable turn 1 immediately. On play, give up to one of your opponent's characters, cost -1 during this turn. You're probably not going to be playing this turn 1, but you can, just to get it out. And during the main phase, you can rest it. If your leader is a Navy, so Sakazuki, give up to one of your opponent's characters, cost -1,000. So this by itself, if you play it in the mid-late game, it can reduce the cost by 2, because you go on play -1, rest at -1, and put so many things in threat range that this is all pretty good. So I think my overall thoughts about the start deck is, I think black has a lot of potential, and I mean a lot of potential, just because of how it can answer not just Kid because of how strong it is, but even stuff like Kaido, you can reduce the cost by that heavy. I think its biggest flaw right now is that it does not have card advantage. The only thing that gets you advantage right now is Great Eruption, which is a single draw. Even purple, the other main control by KO, has Queen, which is a draw 2, and something like Guild Tesoro, which can draw 2. So the fact is, you need to see things by just hard drawing them, which I can foresee being a problem. Like if your opponent can take out stuff like Son Goku or GARP, and you go and your draw for turn, Kobe, not going to do much probably. Draw for turn after that to Suru, you have a blocker, not going to do much. Draw for turn, Django, what are you doing? So the deck in set 2 is going to need card advantage to really pull ahead, I think. I think that really is the thing that is holding it back. I think it has a phenomenal starting grounds. I think if this came out in the first wave of start decks with all of the original 4 from Luffy to Kaido, then this might have been the one to pick. But because it does not have advantage, it's going to need that help in set 2. Because again, but also to clarify, I have been raving about this, but I'm only raving about a start deck. We have a full set to go for set 2 where black will get its proper support, and I think that could really, really change what this deck can do, and it has the foundation to become a potentially very strong deck. And based on what we have, it kind of auto beats stuff like Red-Green Law, so this could like really shake up the meta, I think. So I've been going on long enough, I think, so I'm going to wrap it up here, but I think we are really in for something interesting. So let me know what you all think about these cards, and thank you, One Piece card game dev, for having all of these cards available for me to look at, and I'll see you all in the next video. Hopefully it won't be as long of a gap in between the content, but I'll see you in the next one, and that's a promise.